Hello, my name is Matthew, and we are on shelf 28 of my tiny house library tour, and we are back at a reasonable height. I'm only standing on one stool, so this should go much more comfortably. If you're interested in any of the books I'm going to show, please let me know. You can send me an email and we can work something out. You'll be supporting my plans to visit Spain and see a beautiful young lady. I have a GoFundMe link as well. But let's look at the books. And this is, now we're getting into my favorite shelves, my favorite books. So this should be really fun. Actually, I'll start with a pair of sunglasses. This is great. So this is another present from my friend Ben. He's I mentioned he built the tiny house. I mentioned that he's in a rock band, but he's also a highly skilled fine woodworker, and this is a Christmas present. I used to wear contacts, so I had the ability to wear sunglasses, and let's see. I don't know how this will come off on camera, but okay. So we have these sunglasses. They're handmade. They're hand carved out of Madagascan rosewood. So this isn't acetate or plastic. Madagascan rosewood, a hardwood. And I'll put them on. How do I look? Okay. Enough of that. I thought that'd be kind of cool to show. Okay. Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, and this book is a big, baggy monster, and this might be the just the biggest, heftiest book in my collection. Look at this. This is translated by Julie Rose, and I haven't read this. I can't remember, but I read a different translation, and a lot of people take issue with this book. It's highly indulgent. You really have to be on Victor Hugo's side for all of the digressions and all the pontificating and side stories and things like that, but I absolutely love it. And I'm looking forward to this. One day, I do want to reread it. The only thing I read was the opening section with the bishop, which I just absolutely love. The Odyssey by Homer, and this is the Emily Wilson translation. I thought it was terrific. Just really engaging and a really fresh reading. So I would recommend it if someone was looking for a really contemporary, modern feeling translation of the Odyssey. I thought this was great. The Aeneid by Virgil, and this is the David Ferry translation. Now, I'm not as acquainted with Virgil as I kind of think of myself as with Homer. So I can't really say how great the translation was. I enjoyed this, and kind of unlike the other two, Les Miserables and even the Odyssey, I need to reread this again just to be more acquainted with the text. The Iliad. It's beautiful. The Caroline Alexander translation. I haven't read this yet. After hot off the heels of reading Emily Wilson, I was looking up other newer translations, and this came out feel like this came out fairly recently. 2015, yeah. So another uh, Homer that I want to reread. I love the Iliad and the Odyssey, so. It's an edition of Goethe, and uh, I only read the very beginning of this. This is Wilhelm 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 Meister's apprenticeship, um, which was a novel by Goethe. I had been hearing about it, and so when I found this, I was really excited. I thought. I just thought I was going to be reading this great novel by Goethe, a writer that and thinker that I want to know much more than I do. And it could just be the translation. It could be um, the format. It's a kind of a large. Uh, it's wide text, so it's not exactly easy to read. But the little that I read just couldn't keep my attention. I don't know why. It's funny that these two are together. I wonder if I did that on purpose. This is the Pound era by Hugh, and I loved this book. It's another fairly long biography. Uh, Ezra Pound was such an interesting character to read about. His life and his views on art and literature and politics. All how influential he was with the contemporary, influential and generous with his time and opinions with his contemporaries, the artists and other writers. He was very present in his age. And the great thing is that Hugh um, pulls text from the cantos and other poetry and kind of explains what's going on. I'm not sure. I've never been able to read Ezra Pound's poetry and get anything out of it. I do think it can be kind of fun as a curiosity, but this was great. This is a really great biography of Ezra Pound. And then we have the Cantos by Ezra Pound. Look at this. Could look more like just intimidating and pretentious. And this is a ridiculous book. I've not read it cover to cover. This is the kind of book that I flip open to random pages and just dip into and sample and think about all of the creative experimental ways that language can be used. I read somewhere that there's like dozens of different languages that Ezra Pound employs in this. I'm not sure to how much success, but okay. Casanova, the History of My Life by Casanova, and I haven't read this, or I should say I only read really opening early pages. I got this on the recommendation of Alan Morton. His channel's name is The Book Traveler, and it just came highly recommended. And when your name is Casanova, your namesake has gone into not only modern vernacular, but has just earned its posterity or something like that. To me, this is the exact kind of like bedtime book that I enjoy. It's supposed to be great. Abel and Cain. Did you see this? Look at that great cover. It's a NYRB Classics, and it's by Gregor von Razori. And I read maybe a quarter of it, maybe 200 pages, something like that. I have no idea why I stopped. I thought it was terrific. Let me see if it says what it's about. It's a magnum opus. Okay. Okay, it doesn't even say what it's about, but I'm not going to say what it's about. I don't know. The Sleepwalkers by Herman Brock. I believe it's a Daphne just jumped up on my setup. German writer. And I read the first part of this. Move it. Not happy about that. I read The Romantic, and it was fantastic. I read it in a day, made an afternoon of it. I think I made a video about it, I think. So I read it maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. I still need to read the other two books in this, but it's a great cover. The Black Sheep. It's a Balzac novel that I have not read. And I bought this after listening to Brian from Bookish talk about it. So I picked it up. I'm always in the mood for a good Balzac novel. Agatha, or The Forgotten Sister by Robert Muesl. And this is, I believe, a companion novel to The Man Without Qualities. I could be mistaken about that. And another book I haven't read. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Selected Poetry and Prose by Mallarmé. Really hasn't captured me the way that some of the other French poets or writers have. His little prose pieces always feel, I almost said insignificant. They just haven't done anything for me, and it really could just be that I need to get like a substantial. The prose poems feel insubstantial. That's what I meant to say. And maybe I just need to be able to read more of Mallarmé. Okay. Purgatorio by Dante. Probably the best bedtime book that you can read. It'll put you right to sleep. The Interrogation by J.M.G. Leclasio. So apparently he won the Nobel Prize. And I read this within the past 2 years, and I remember it being quite affecting. There's some surrealistic parts, so it's a novel that takes risks. It's eccentric. I will say, after reading this, I didn't really have that feeling of wanting to read more. So it was sort of just enough to say I've read it. In my last shelf up here, I showed Bob's copy of A Vision by W.B. Yeats, and this is a newer printing. Apparently they have a whole series. This is volume 8 of like the complete collected works of Yeats. And yeah, look at that. It's a really strange work. It's hard to describe. I would have a very hard time talking about this book. It's one of Bob's favorites, so it means a lot to me. Not that I understand it. This is one of my earliest not one of my earliest books, but this is one of the first times I wanted a really nice book. Went out and bought this cloth. It's Everyman Library. Um, I just remember going to the store. Um, I'd been reading Kafka and uh, just getting into that world, and I was excited to read stories, read his short stories, Hunger Artist, and a whole bunch of them. And uh, I wanted to have a nice copy of the Trial. I got this, and let me see. Okay, this is Willa and Edwin Muir. Um, from what I understand, Kafka is going to be going into the public domain relatively soon, so um, there's a chance we're going to start getting new Kafka translations. How exciting would that be? To read The Castle in a brand new translation. This is a gift. This is from my friend Monica, and she was in Germany. And anytime my friends go out traveling, if they ask me if I want anything, I always say, well, pick me up a book. And so this is Oscar Wilde translated into German. Look at that cover. And the English translation escapes me. I think it's his short stories or fairy tales, but I'm not sure. I don't read German. Just amazing. Okay. So, I'm not going to say this is a failed endeavor. I'm still making this a priority, which is to read and enjoy the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. And I bought this Penguin Classic. It's the whole thing, and it's so it's the original Middle English, and then below it it'll have these footnotes. And what did I read up to? I read about 100 pages. I'm up to the Miller's prologue. The issue that I was having is I found that if I read it out loud, I could phonetically hear the meaning of each word. And so I really felt like, oh, okay, I'm understanding this. And what would happen is after reading a stanza or whatever, and I would think about what I had just read, I found that I was spending so much time focusing on each word that the overall meaning was escaping me. And not to be totally discouraged, I thought, well, I'll buy, and this is the Neville Coghill translation, which is supposed to be great. I thought, well, I'll read a modern translation, get an understanding of the story, and then I'll go back and I'll read the Middle English, and when I know a little bit of the story, I'll comprehend it more and understand the language more, all of those things. It really had, at the moment it's been completely abandoned, but it's still an interest of mine. It's something that I'd like to dedicate a lot of time to. We'll see if it happens. Uh, 2666 by Roberto Bollano. I read maybe 100 pages. Everybody was talking about this book. It was just everywhere when it came out, and I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another shot. It's certainly not because it was intimidating or super long or anything like that. It just didn't hold my interest, and it honestly surprised me at the time, because this is the kind of book that hits a lot of marks for um, a book I'd like to read. So I don't have a big opinion on it. I feel like I just need to give it another shot when the mood strikes me. It could be a while. So when I go to Spain and I'll have my passport, I'm going to bring my second passport. I'm going to have two passports when I go to Spain. I'll have the one that I show at the airport, and I'll have Don Quixote. This is the book I'm bringing with me. I'll be carrying this on the airplane and marching it all over Madrid and Pamplona and Galicia and everywhere. Um, I'm gonna be that knight. And this is one of my absolute favorite novels. The development of the character, like how well he is drawn, how funny and how sad and exciting and strange the book is. It has stories within stories. It's experimental and still just like a master class in storytelling. So I really can't recommend Don Quixote highly enough. It's one of my favorite books. And this is the Edith Grossman translation. I think I mentioned at some point, I read Nada by Carmen La Florette, I think. Now I can't remember, but also translated by Edith Grossman. Let's see. This is Islands in the Stream by Ernest Hemingway, and yeah, as far as I can tell, this is the first edition. Islands in the Stream, posthumous novel by Ernest Hemingway. It's probably better than you would expect. I love this book. So this is the Collected Ancient Greek Novels, edited by B.P. Reardon, whoever that is. And I remember learning that in ancient Greece and I guess Rome, just around that time, novels, like novel writing was a genre. And I don't know if I can find it. And I can't pronounce any of these things, but Chereus and Calorho, an Ephesian Tale, Leucippe and Clitophon, Daphnis and Chloe, an Ethiopian Story, The Ass, A True Story, just amazing. And I read this cover to cover, and I couldn't put it down. These stories were just fantastical and exciting, and they're like madcap romance adventures, so full of surprises, and this was such an incredible find. You'd think you'd only read I don't know, 5 pages and get bored to death, but that wasn't the case for me. And East of Eden by John Steinbeck, really not a fan. And that's it. That's shelf 28 of the Tiny House Library Tour. Let me know if you're interested in any of the books, if you have any thoughts about the books, thoughts on my opinions about the books. Each shelf down now, it's going to be really fun for me to talk about. So if you've been watching up to this point, the rest of the couple shelves should be at least enjoyable for me, and hopefully that translates. So thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you would like, and